Hey guys, Derek here with the Closet Doctor, and I'm going to go over some of our improvements that we made in the shop today. The first thing is, the last 2 days we've watched a video that Brad made at Quantum Lean about 5 years ago. And the key takeaway from that in his video was watch the product and not the people. So as we're watching the video, and I'm going to put the link to it in the description, you can see the cover of it here, but we're watching it. It was easy to watch and see all the waste in motion that the people were doing. But what Brad was teaching is get to one piece flow, get to one piece flow. So let me show you, we watched that, talked about it in training, and let me show you some of the things we came up with and an improvement that we came up with today on that. So this is our big whiteboard, all kinds of stuff. So as we watched that video is what we realized, it's easy to reduce a whole bunch of motion by batching it out. And his point was, you put a whole bunch of stuff on a cart and you can batch it out and you don't have any walking between machines. And so the question, as we watched that, I asked our guys, what are we batching? What are we doing? What are we loading up on a cart so that we don't have to, make a couple extra trips? And the other question I have is, what are we speeding up that hurts the next person in line? Because it's easy. I won't do all of my job and it'll save me a whole bunch of time. I'll just pass it down the road to the next guy. So is what we came up with. And after that training yesterday, I had a conversation with one of my designers. So a couple of things they got to do. They got to draw out the space. They got to take pictures of it. They got to come up with it, put a design together. And then they have to turn those pictures in and attach them to our contact management system. And the designer I was working with, when we were looking at it, he was creating carts of stuff to push around and drag around. And so he would draw out the space and he would put all the measurements in. And then he would go back and he would take pictures of the obstacles, and he wouldn't do anything with that time. So he'd take the pictures and then he's gonna come back to that later. He'd leave the closet and then he's gonna put the design together later at the kitchen table with the computer. And then when he's all done, he's gonna go in and he's gonna edit those pictures to send to the production manager so that they've got verification on stuff, and put that later into our thing. And so when we look at it, we had multiple events or carts he's putting stuff on. And so it gets multiple separate events, which is a batch there, and that's happening over multiple locations. And one of the things is, you have to remember to do all of this stuff. It carries you around. There's weight involved in that, mental weight and effort that you're there. So we talked about it and we went through and we said, hey, how can we do this in one piece flow? And we actually practiced this. So we're gonna draw out the space that we're working in. So we're in the closet, we're gonna draw it out and we're gonna start our measurements. And when we get to an obstacle, we're gonna take a picture of that obstacle right now. And we're gonna go in and edit that and put in the measurements and stuff like that right now. That's right there. And we looked at that. The easiest way was take a picture on an iPhone, click screenshot, and then it brings up your edit it right there, and it's done. We don't have to go and do that later, and then repeat that process as we go through the closet. So we start at one end of the closet and we come all the way around to the other end. We've got that stuff done. The other thing is make sure that we complete our sketch of what we're gonna design in the space. And with those obstacles, we'll say we're gonna do all of the math and figure everything out while we're standing in front of the obstacle. So when we've taken our measurements, we've figured out our design, we've accounted for our obstacles, we've taken all of our pictures, and right when we're exiting the closet, then all we have to do is bring up our job Nimbus, that's our contact management one, select the pictures that are in it, and hit the upload button. While we're walking to the kitchen table to complete the process with a customer, that stuff is all done. So now instead of this process being multiple different events over here, taking place at different locations, we've completed everything in that space. We have it back up, we have everything all loaded up, and it's done. So it's a single event, it's in a single location, and it's done. DUN for done. And so we went over that with the designer, went over it again today in training, and then we talked about it, how does this apply if you're, what are you batching? What are you doing? And so we went over here to the CNC, to Daniel's computer, and let me show you what we came up with over there. Okay, so improvement we're working on over at the CNC machine. We generate all of these are our run files for all of our jobs. And the problem is that they build up if you don't, we have to manually delete them. And so the issue we're having is we get a lot in here and we're having to batch process it. So the first thing is we kept having to scroll for view, to find everything. So Daniel found out that we can, if we right click over here and we go and change our view, and we're going to change it from details to list, it gives us more of a view. So we can see everything without scrolling, and then we can go by alphabetical or by date. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go alphabetical, and now our process is when we open a job. So we've got Alan over here that we're going to run. So Alan is not there. There it is. There's Alan. But before we open Alan, we're going to right click and we're going to close the last job that we ran. And we're not sure what that is right now, but we would just come in here and we would right click, go ahead and hit right click and hit delete. And that'll delete that file. So every time we open a file, we're going to delete a file. So the only files that we'll have in there will be our active files. And we won't have to come back and spend time batch processing and deleting all of our old ones. So just a little bit of changing a little bit of the way our process is, a little way we view it in our computer will save us a whole bunch of time down the road. Nice work on that.